What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Right Mindset. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and today is a live session where I am going to, in real time, explore Act 1, Section 1, The Ordinary World. We're still bullet pointing out our outline, but I'm showing you how I do it for scene creation and ultimately getting the story out, since we've already gone over several other parts that you will find in the playlist for the alien invasion story. Ooh, that is everything about this is right off the top. There's no pre-work. I only work on it here. So let's get it started. Let's do that intro and go. Ooh, okay. As I said, this is going to be us writing out Act 1, Section 1, Part 1. Let's get right to it. Let's just jump right to it because, I'm only going to do this for an hour. That's all I do. That's all I get. All right. Let's see if comments. All right. So far, as you can see, I already have The Mundane Life, which is Chapter 1. For anyone who's jumping on, a real quick update. I usually title my chapters to give me an idea of what that is going to be about, and then the chapter breaks are just those subsections, my plot points, things like that. I wanted the protagonist coming into work, so that's what this scene is going to be about. This doesn't end up in the book. The chapter title may or may not stay or change depending. Then I have my plot points. You can't go wrong with plot points. Plot points. And I don't think I went over this last time, but the way I do it is I know that this is the plot point. So if it's this black dot over here, this is the plot point. The elevator, this is building a plot point. So he has to enter his office, and we have to showcase his involvement and relationship. So the first thing that happens is ultimately he meets a coworker and they get along, or it's not the coworker, it's the male person, and you can just see that. And then I need the other plot point. Now, if you recall, if you've watched the other videos, in the outline, I wanted to showcase that the boss, Carl, and Austin, the protagonist, have a weird relationship, and Carl is awkward and different. And that's what this plot point sets up. This scene sets that plot point up, also helping move along the main plot, which we do discover that Carl is an alien, right? So we already know that. And then this is another plot point was we needed to show the protagonist being helpful around the office, and that people come to him, and he's quite qualified, or rather, I think this is he's quite qualified plot beat. And his best friends show up, and we actually introduce the potential love interest, right? And then we have to show him being interrupted, but like it's really easy for him. And then we have a moment where he's being bothered by his boss again, which is going to lead to ultimately the boss is like, hey, I need you to go do something for me, which is the never enough chapter. So it ends on Austin is a bit worried, and Theo assures him that he'll be fine. Austin might make a comment about wishing he had married the CEO's daughter, and Theo can be all, it doesn't help, trust me, because we made it that Theo's married to the CEO's daughter. She's flirting with him, but not in a I like you kind of way. But will you help me? Carl calls Austin from across the so this is where we last left. Carl calls Austin from across the room floor layout to come into his office. And the reason is because never enough office meeting with Carl. So this is going to the whole purpose of this moment should be to explore A scene in Carl's office. He is ultimately going to ask him to fix something in the server room because the main person called out sick and the system is going to slow, right? Austin will push back saying it is not really his job, right? Because he feels he's being like pulled around, right? That was one of the plot beats, is that Austin feels like he's just, everyone's pushing him around, everyone's giving him, like, look, I have a job to do. I don't care about doing anything beyond what I have to do. It's just I'm so willing to help that I forget about my own priorities, right? So Carl will explain that Austin has time for everyone else, huh? But not for the boss. Austin agrees to check it out, but doesn't promise anything. Okay, and that's because he has to go down to the server room. All right, so let's do this. Austin. Oh, all caps. So Austin enters the office. The office is okay. Now I want to explain the office. The office is set up like a showroom. Set up with a showroom quality. It almost all looks fake. And then this is a note to myself. This is because Carl is an alien and he keeps everything OCD clean and organized to the point where nothing is exposed unless it is in use, and he places things right back to where they belong. All right. So the reason that's a note is because that means I have to explore that in the scene, and it needs to come out that Austin is like, what's going on? But see, I know what my notes are. I know how to do that. But all right, so let's talk about this moment. Boop, boop. Okay, my puppy's here. Hey, puppy. All right. Okay. Carl. Asks Austin to go down into the server room and fix what's issues. The main issue causing issues. The main issue is that the server is not working correctly. Right. This makes staying online or directly connecting with anything on the servers difficult. Jobs. All right. Austin pushes back. Austin will push back, saying it's not really his job, and like that. And Carl explains that it's time for everyone else. Okay, so I'm just gonna take that verbatim because that's good. And then Austin. Oh, the pushback though will be why the main person can't do it, and Carl explains that the normal person has called out sick. System going slower than it should. All right. Austin reluctantly agrees to check out. Check out problem. Doesn't promise anything. All right, so this is all keeping with the main plot. Now, I could write notes here too. I could write stuff like, this is showcasing that Carl is testing Austin and that he believes in Austin, right? But it's also the ordinary world. So you want to set up what they're capable of, what they have potential in, and also you want to seed what's going to be earned later. And in this case, this fuels the main plot in the idea that Austin is really good with computers. We learn later that way back in the day when Area 51 captured alien ships, the aliens helped them design the computer systems, right? Which is why uh, the alien systems are similar, and Austin can figure it out. And B, it was the long game for the aliens to knock out the human computer systems. Huh? 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 Anyway, not that that has to be brought up into this, but I'm explaining how this scene is basically fueling that. So when I'm physically writing the scene, I want to be able to explore that, and um, maybe uh, I might in this situation, I might show that there's like, I don't know, some alien technology in the server system, but to me, I feel like that would almost be like an inciting incident. Like, what's this? So I personally wouldn't go that route because the ordinary world should just be ordinary. It should just kind of be like what they do, what they deal with. So you don't want to put anything in there that's like shocking. For example, the boss Carl doing the thing with the donuts and the coffee. The way that scene plays out is just he continues to do like weird things, and it's not too unordinary. Got to format. I'm old, so my eyes are weird, so I need to double line it. But also, I get to go back here. Come on. Just like that. That's it. Okay. Boop. Da-da-da. You got to make your workflow good and even, right? Whew, look at that. Never know. By the way, that's a Dream Theater song. I should do that. I should make every chapter a Dream Theater title from this song. Anyway, all right. Now I might look over this, even though I'm just kind of like train of thoughting and just letting it out. I might look over it and say, "Am I getting everything?" The thing is, you don't want to like fill up a scene. You just want a scene to do its job. Now, the fun part about writing though is I'm outlining my scenes because I already outlined the story. I'm outlining my scenes in a way where it leaves me room to explore character. I could write dialogue here. I could write, let it come out that Austin, hates jokes or something. Like I could write that. But when I'm writing the physical scene out, that's where I like to let the next part of the creative process flow and explore the characters that way. I don't really like doing that too much in the outline. Occasionally I will do that with dialogue and let the dialogue flow, which would dictate the characters a little bit. But that doesn't mean that's the dialogue I'm going to end up using. It might just be dialogue that is helping me guide the story, guide the narrative, and guide the character. So this is just generalized outlining for me for the scene. but we've already explored that Carl, the boss, who turns out to be an alien, is asking Austin, the protagonist, to go down into the server room. So let's do that. Let's go into the server room. Now, I already have pre-notes from last time we were here because I always do pre-notes. All right. Now, Austin dealing with the issue in the server room, other people down there who don't know what they're doing, complaining, the server room wasn't. Uh, he complains the whole time, and at one point, Austin comes out of the server room to see the boss drinking more coffee in the adjacent room. And now Austin doesn't know if Carl heard him talking poorly about him. Carl wants an update. Austin says it's fixed, and it's only been 2 hours. Carl asks him to do another thing, and Austin says no, he needs lunch. All right, so this is what we're gonna do to explore this, right? I also let me write a note so I don't forget. Also need to reveal an alternate exit down here in the server room so I can bring that up later when they are trying to escape the office. And that's important too, right? So again, even though this is the ordinary world and we don't want to do anything that sets off the inciting incident, we can still build on what's to come because we're setting up the capability of the characters, the plausibility of the story, and allowing the environment to kind of be designed and built all at the same time. All right, so Austin walks. We gotta set the scene, right? So Austin walks into massive server room. See long lines of servers. Okay, the room is easily let's say 3,000 square feet. Average size, massive server. Oh Jesus. Whoop. How big should a server be? Massive. Be how's the server room? Who knows? Let's see. 10 by 5. That's actually not too bad. Per employee. Oh, that's something else. All right. I think we'll go with it. I think we'll stick with that. All right. The site alone is overwhelming. And he just gets to work. All right. There are other people here doing their jobs. Austin asks them why they are not fixing anything. They say they are here to upkeep machinery, but don't know fix it. Main guy is out sick. All right, so that's a confirmation that is true, right? And then they all do try to help, but they are causing more issues than not. So that's good. All right. Now we go here. Okay, so Austin figures it out, asks them to get XYZ items for him to replace certain things and adjust cooling system as it was overheating in some servers. Austin complains down to the other employees working with him. Okay. Hey. Beep. Okay. Austin comes out of the server room. She has to walk. He walked through the security room with monitors that show the whole server room and allow to hear what's going on. Austin realizes that Carl is in the corner drinking weird coffee, speaking with one of the guards. All right. Now, there's a couple things going on here. We're introducing that the computers, the monitors of the security system is both video and audio, which will come in handy later. Okay. And we're also adding more to the relationship between Austin and Carl. Okay. Austin has no idea how long Carl has been in this room and if he's heard what's going on. There should be an awkward conversation, Carl, about Austin didn't know the audio and video. Carl explains Jim's idea. Security person Carl is speaking with. All right, so Austin not knowing. Okay, conversation with Carl about. Okay, the other thing is we could change this. We could make this. Normally, I write person, because I don't know who to. But let's do Jenna. Jenna's idea. Jenna is the security person. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Now we could kind of add this, right? This is actually this. Boop. Okay. It's because these are all plot points, right? All right. The plot point is he has to. Hey, it's all right, puppy. My puppy's barking. You have to examine the thing, and then the second one is that he's realizing the people don't know what they're doing, and he has to complain about Carl, and then ultimately he has to come out of the server room. All right. The next big thing is that Carl asks. Okay. Carl changes subject and wants an update. Austin says he fixed it. It's only been 2 hours. This blows Carl's mind, and he's excited but tries to hide it. Carl asks him to do another thing and says, "No, I need lunch." All right. I also need to reveal an alternate exit. All right. So I need this. So I have to go back to a little earlier in the scene. Let's do this. Okay. Well, exploring the cooling system, Austin discovers an alternate exit down here in the server room. Boop. All right, there we go. How easy it is. See, outlining is not difficult. We're not writing great detail out right now. That's not the point of doing an outline. The original outline, the 27 chapter outline, we did quickly. That was, we basically brainstormed that and just let train of thought. But now we're organizing the scenes, but we don't want to organize the scenes in a way where it doesn't leave us any room for adjusting or. And that's the brilliance of a good outline. When you're outlining a scene, you want to generalize what plot points have to happen. So the main points, the subplots, any character development, but you don't want to have to go too deep into it, because while you're actually writing the story using your outline, or even if you're a pantser, just your general plot points, you want to be able to just see where the scene goes so you could figure out the characters in real time, So it's like a mixture of outlining and discovery. Gives you a little bit of freedom. Okay. Now, since what's this? We've got some other stuff down here. All right. Lunchtime. Okay, so Theo and Austin have lunch. Theo says that maybe Carl's training him, or because in him, what is really happening, but he doesn't believe that. The boss says protagonist do more than we already did that. Got rid of that, right? So this causes a riff idea that the protagonist feels that they are being taken advantage. Okay, so that's good. That's what this scene is going to be about, right? Theo and Austin have lunch. All right, so that's what this plot point is. Theo is eating an unhealthy meal and making a mess, yet he is fit. And Austin is not but an average fit man and doesn't understand why Theo can eat whatever he wants. All right, so we're building relationship between him and the best friend, right? Okay, and Theo. Oh wait, not but an average. Theo says that Carl. Okay. Austin complains about other things, and Theo brings up that maybe all this stress is because of how Carl's been treating you the last few months, right? So now we're establishing pattern. We showed it, and now we're confirming it. And that's another important part about writing is, they say show, don't tell. Well, it's good to also tell to confirm, as long as you show. And I would recommend trying to show first, and then just allowing the characters to confirm. There is a big difference between someone saying, Carl's been really hounding you these last 3-4 months. And in the story up to this point, we don't see Carl hounding Austin. It's not as powerful as we seeing Carl hounding Austin, and then other people are recognizing it too. So it's not just in the protagonist's head. The audience is like, yeah, Carl has really been hounding him. So it's good to confirm what you show. You don't always have to do it, but it's nice. It's nice when you do it. I like confirmation. But anyway. Austin thinks it's because he avoids as much responsibility as he can. Theo suggests that maybe Carl's training him or believes in him. And then my note is which is actually happening. Because again, for anyone just joining, if you haven't seen the playlist up to here, Carl is really an alien, and he sees something in Austin because he's really good with computers and he's smart, and he kind of looks at the world a little differently, and he's like, maybe I could take this guy under my wing. I see some potential in him, and he's almost trying to push him to his limits, because the story goes, again, if you've seen the other playlist, which I recommend go and watch them to get up to this so you can understand the process. But Carl was sent here to figure out ways to infiltrate the industry along with other aliens, and they were going to take over the world. But Carl's kind of enjoying people, and he likes studying people, which is weird. But at the same time, He's like, these are good people and they have qualities where our kind were thinking they were not advanced enough, they weren't good enough. And Austin is an example of someone who is quite smart and quite capable, right? So, but Austin doesn't believe that is the case and wishes that. So that's good to know, right? Now, needs to be established. Austin feels like he's being taken advantage of, but in reality, the boss believes in him, and is trying to inadvertently train them. Okay, so that's basically what I said 2 seconds ago, but because I already know the story. By the way, this story is being made up on the spot, just for anyone who's been following. This is all about brainstorming, dumping, train of thought, and showing you that if you just follow the beats in something, you can explore and discover a story. So, it's also a great exercise for those that have the white screen syndrome where they just stare and they don't know what to write. Well, you look at the outline and you say, well, what is the ordinary world? And it's okay to just make things up and see where it goes. So this has literally been discovery, but using the tools of an outline to find that out. Okay. So this scene is pretty much done, and we can see where the main plot is. The main plot is Carl is the discussion moving forward the story of Carl training Austin. That Austin feels abused, so that's helping the relationship between Carl and Austin. Theo and Austin's relationship is helping. We're setting up that Austin is an average person, that he's just a regular person. And that's important too, that even like his best friend who eats terribly is in good shape. He's married to the CEO's daughter, like he has things going for him, and he's just basically like, he doesn't care. And Austin wants to care, but he just doesn't feel like he can care. And the reason we're setting that up in his ordinary world is because when he has the opportunity to go above and beyond, from the inciting incident to how his reaction to the inciting incident into how he goes into the new world, we're going to see his choices and saying it's been there all the time. He just needed to be put into a place where he was challenged. So how do we set up that as earning? Carl is putting Austin into situations that are outside his purview of his job, and he's stepping up to that, showing that he is capable. And that's another way of not having to tell people that Austin is capable in the story. We're seeing Austin be put into positions, story-wise, where he has to be capable. And, it could have went the other way. He could have went down there and not been able to figure out the computer system or fix it and pretty much be able to lead the situation, having not been down there before. And, again, in your ordinary world, that beat, like that first point of your, and again, for anyone who's watching, we are focusing right now on writing out Act 1, Section 1.1, which is the ordinary world. This is all about showcasing the capableness of your characters. We're introducing characters. You don't want to do too much world building. You don't want to do too much exposition, and you don't want to just be like, here is everybody. But at the same time, you have to set your character up to be challenged. An inciting incident is not powerful if we as readers don't understand who that character is and their capability to be challenged, because that's really what story is, right? We want to always challenge what we're presenting. So the setup of anything, any story, by the way, like even if you look at Game of Thrones, right? Spoiler alert for anyone, but I'll just do season 1. So the setup is one of the stories is the setup is Jamie and his sister. They're lovers, right? They're twins, but they're lovers. And the setup is they don't want anyone to know. Well, how do we challenge that? Well, Bran discovers them. So what's the consequence of Bran discovering them? It can get out. So how do we challenge that? Jamie pushes him down off the thing, and what's the consequence of that? Bran breaks his back and actually has a bit of his memory goes, right? But the pattern just keeps repeating itself, and that's how you create story and conflict. Everything is being challenged, then there's a consequence, then that consequence is challenged, right? And then anytime you set up an original premise, that's how you bring it to a strong narrative. You just keep challenging it. What would be the consequence of that challenge? By the way, a consequence could be positive or negative, does not matter. But ultimately, you go, all right, here's the setup of what I want the story to be, or a subplot, or a main plot. How do I challenge that plot, that moment? And then what is the consequence of that? Okay, I've reached that point. Do I want to challenge that, or do I want it to kind of let it go? And examples of letting it go is like at the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones, uh, you know, um, the resolve is like Arya is she escapes with the guy. You know, Jamie is kidnapped. Not kidnapped. He's taken prisoner. There's a lot of things where you're like, oh, and you're like, I want to know more. I want to know more, and that's what leads you to season 2. But they resolve that in a sense. But then in season 2, they have to present the setup again. So they reset everything into a setup, and then they challenge that, and then there's a consequence, and that's ultimately what's going on here. Is the setup is he capable? What is his skill level? Things like that. All right. Okay, so lunch is done. Stand up or sit down. Avoiding Carol. You got to avoid Carl. All right. Let's see if we hit all my beats so far. All right. Mundane life. Also, they love their mundane life. They embrace the ease of it, the lack of complication. Not having to think deeper than they do. They have real ambitions. Their passion. Okay, so I want to add something to here. We want to. Theo tells Austin he should work out or come to the gym with him. Awesome. Right? And Austin makes excuses and explains he to do more than he has to, right? Which is, by the way, we're confirming the other theme, which is like everyone keeps asking him to do stuff, and he's like, oh, I just want to sit at my computer and work. I don't want to be bothered. So this is the confirmation conversation, as one might say. Confirmation conversation. Anyway, all right. So we hit this. They have no real. We have all that. Their passions have been discovered, or even their true purpose or potential hasn't been discovered. That's been explored. We got that already. We explored terrible boss. I think we're hitting all the plot beats in this first section. Best friend at work, got that. There are a number of persons in accounting. Yeah. Our protagonist notices the boss doing something odd. We did that. Okay. All right. Show the protagonist capable of highly. We did that. Okay. I think we did it. I think the point is Act 1, Section 1.1. I think we got everything so far, and we did it. I think we did it in 2 chapters. I'm gonna do I might actually. You know what? I might get rid of chapter 3 concept and just making another chapter break that he comes back from lunch. So let me just write that. Austin comes back from lunch and avoids Carl all day until he can go home. All right. And that's important because Act 1, Section 1.2, which will be the inciting incident, will basically be Austin coming back to work. And it almost feels like it's starting over. We're going to see a lot of the same beats, except not as extensive. And then the inciting incident will happen, which would be that the aliens come down and the office building is overwhelmed by aliens. So we're showcasing the ordinary world in chapter 1 and 2. So let me just read through this. So people go to them for help. We did that. Enters the break room. We did this. Okay. See, we're definitely hitting our plot points. This is great. The boss as the protagonist. We did that. This causes we did that. Great. All right. We did that. They make a lot of stupid jokes. Well, that'll come out in the writing. But also, the friend wants to know if anything has happened with the girl protagonist. This is the first seed introducing. I think Theo comes over and asks about the girl from. See, we hit everything. All right, so that's great. Let me just work on this quick scene. All right, and again, when I write out my outline to the scenes, I generalize just for anyone who's here for the first time or just jumping on now. All right, because this is live. Okay. Um, what is going on? Okay, so Austin comes back from lunch and runs to his computer uh, and keeping his head down. All right, so that's important too, right? So, oh, and keeps his head down. He sees Carl heading toward his desk, toward desk, or I should say, Austin sees. That makes more sense. Austin sees Carl heading towards his desk. Okay, so he leans down and takes his laptop another area of the office, right? And then we're gonna say we could do the continue to show scenes where he is watching the clock because he wants to go home. Go home. And I need Theo. Theo needs to save Austin from another employee asking him to help with something, basically saying that he needs help and it's at Carl's request, right? So we know that Theo understands what Austin's been going through, and that he's there. Plus it's kind of humorous, because they make that kind of energy going on. Austin is heading to the bathroom and sees Carl come out behind a corner. Carl walks past and see him. And then we'll have one really cool moment at the very end where Carl sees Austin. It's 5 p.m. He is walking up to Austin and he notices the time. He allows Carl to speak with him. Carl asks him to help him with something else. Austin says, all right, 5 p.m. See you tomorrow. Right, and that's basically, again, that isn't how I'm going to write it. But these are the beats that I want to hit when I'm physically writing out the thing. Now, I have a special present for everybody today. I'm going to show you what I do to maintain my number count and to see how chapters are building and stuff like that. So I'm going to actually show you. Okay, share screen. Okay. All right. Now this, my friends, okay, is how. Yeah, I'm gonna blow it up so you can see it. All right. Where is that? That's about right. Okay. So this is how I kind of keep track of my number count. And by the way, if anyone wants this, just message me in the comments. Not the live comment, but the actual comments section of the video. And then I'll give you my email, and you don't have to sign up for anything. Just email me that you want it. I'll just send it. All right. So if we go back to so chapter 1. So this is going to be the mundane. And again, the chapter titles can change. This is just my working title. And then I like to title the sections, but it doesn't necessarily mean the sections will be in you know, whatchamacallit. Oh wait, make it easier for you to see. The section names won't be in the book. It's just they help me go. All right, what is this section going to be about? Keeps my mind. All right, and then I figure out what the word count is so far with just my notes and the scene worked out, which is it kind of gives you some clarity on what's happening. All right, okay, and chapter one is actually only one thing, and that's interesting. All right, so I know that I'm gonna shrink this down. Beep. Okay. All right, and then chapter two of Ordinary World is never enough. Never enough. Okay. And the first section is meeting with Carl. Okay. Let's see what that is. And anyone who's just jumping in, just so you know, I just finished mapping out Act 1, Section 1.1, which is Ordinary World. It took me 2 chapters to do that. And now I'm organizing how many words I have in the outline and the general gist of the scenes to give me a guideline to see how long that chapter is going to be and those sections will be. Obviously, they will expand based on you know, the writing element of it, like once I write. But this is a good general, because you could say, you know what, this scene might be a little too long, or this chapter could be. Can I break this chapter up into 2 chapters, etc., etc. And then of course, there's gonna be one more after this. All right, lunch. And of course, you know, I'm not trying to make this book massive. I'm just trying to um, show the audience the power of brainstorming and how you could do everything right off the top of your head. And you know, if you just follow the outline almost kind of like dictates what the story is. It's so weird, but it's a really fun writing exercise. Now, obviously, I had a 3rd chapter in here just in case, but I don't need that chapter anymore. Beep. All right, so here's I'll explain this so you could. So this means that my Act 1, Section 1, the ordinary world, specifically point 1 is the ordinary world. So just for anyone who hasn't listened or seen the other videos, Section 1 is the ordinary world in general. This is the whole section where you would showcase you know, the themes and the plots and the characters. Point 1 is before the inciting incident. So point 2 is the inciting incident, as you can see down here. But that's still part of section 1. Anyway, so this is how many words are in all the chapters in this section. And right now, I could see that this is going to be a pretty tight book. It doesn't look like it's going to be really long per se so far, and that's good. You know, and again, I know if you look up Kat O'Keefe, uh, Keefe, she has designed this 27 chapter outline that I utilize. I've just altered it slightly and kind of cleaned up some of the verbiage for me, just so for my brain to work with it. And she showcases how you can make 1 chapter per you know, point. So like there would be a chapter, only 1 chapter for this point, 1 chapter, and you would have a 27 chapter book with about 3,000 words per chapter. And you know, if you do the math, 3,000 times 27 is about 81,000. Right? It is 81,000 words. All right. So as you can see, I broke up my first point into 2 chapters, but it only equals 1909. So now I know I have some wiggle room to kind of explore that when I'm writing out the scenes, and I know that it's pretty good. So the next video in this series will focus on Act 1, Section 1, Point 2, the inciting incident. So we're going to get to see the aliens come and how Austin responds or reacts to that kind of thing. Now, I already have like, if you see, this would be chapter 4, but obviously it's not going to be. I kind of have like a template, so it's already explored. And I have one book that I'm working on right now for a fantasy book, and like point one is like 5 chapters. But again, they're not all long chapters. But I like to use my chapters to um my chapters for me is all about creating pace and allowing the stories to breathe in those moments. A chapter to me isn't necessarily a be all end all. I I come from screenwriting, and I come from being in a band. So like each song, I would make albums that had themes, and concept albums, and each song represented a certain thing. But when you get to story writing with scripts, a scene is important. So like I kind of take the beats of what's necessary to move your narrative along, and I break them up into scenes, and then I'll go, how many of these scenes make sense for that plot point? And that's why I really like the Kate O'Keefe 27 chapter outline, which I just call the 27 point outline, because you have to hit those 27 points. But each point, somebody pointed out on another video where the 27 points don't make sense to the rule of writing a screenplay or a novel, where the second act should be twice as long as the first and third act. So if you have 50,000 words in the first act, technically your second act should be about 100,000 words, and your third act should be 50,000, which means you have a 200,000 word story. But those plot beats, those points, don't necessarily have to explore insane lengths. They can be a scene, they could be a moment. They're just things you have to hit to maintain a fluid story, a fluid narrative. For anyone who has watched the other episodes in this series, you will know that like obviously Act 1 has to the 27 point outline. Act 1 has 9 points you have to hit, just like Act 2 has 9 points and Act 3 has 9 points. But the length of those points aren't necessarily equal. They are just moments that you need to explore. And if I just do section 1 of Act 1, you have ordinary world, inciting incident, and the reaction to the inciting incident. So the ordinary world, we know, is usually a long part of a story, because you're bringing people into the world, especially if you're doing fantasy. You have to be like, this is the world they're in. But then the inciting incident happens, and that could just be a moment that, we're doing the alien story. So basically, he lives in the office world. He hates his life. It's mundane. The aliens come and take over the office and the city. Okay. His reaction to it is, I need to escape. Those are the points I have to hit. The plot points I need to hit is, he hates his life. It's mundane. He feels, it's not going anywhere. The aliens come and attack. He has to escape the office building. That's it. How do I explore those? Well, then that's the writer. That's where the fun comes from. We know the plot points are very simple. Mundane life as an office worker. Aliens attack. How do I get to safety? So it's not always about, this method isn't necessarily following the Act 1 needs to be 25% of your story. Act 2 needs to be 50%, and Act 3 needs to be 25%. It's just saying, hey, these are the plot points you need to fit into your narrative for the narrative to be complete. And again, it's just one way of a million ways that are out there. And I really hope that this just allows you to fill up your arsenal of writing tools, and you find purpose in your writing venture, or adventure, I should say. With that, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like what you're watching, and maybe this is your first time here, obviously you know where I'm going with this, or if you've been here for quite some time but you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out. This channel is here for community. It's about learning. It's about exploring. No one way is the right way. It's just another way, and we try to keep the positivity up. And as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Thanks.